Hey folks, Nathan here, and this is mini Q&A number, I think, 17. We did about 14 of these up until April of 2019, and then it just stopped. And I've come back with these very recently here in 2022 to pick up with more mini Q&A episodes. We have a From the Star Wars Home Video Library Q&A series going now to talk about Star Wars home video questions. Kind of appropriate for that series. But I assume there would probably be some other questions unrelated to Star Wars home video people might want to ask, and so we've kicked off the mini Q&A series again. Questions in this episode are the last ones from round 1. I put up a call for questions video, gathered comment questions underneath that one. Those are being used for this episode and the previous 2. You can tell they're all part of the same round because I'm wearing the same shirt, the Bad Batch shirt here. Now what I'm going to do going forward is I'm going to take any of the questions posted under this episode or the 2 previous ones where I'm wearing the Bad Batch, the new round of mini Q&A episodes in 2022, take any questions posted in the comments of those, use those for the next round, the round 2 of questions that I'll record sometime soon where I'll be wearing something else as we go episode to episode. I will also probably be standing to do some of those future Q&A episodes. I mowed and did a lot of yard work stuff this morning, like cleaning out underneath the mower and all that kind of crap, so I am incredibly tired and just wanted to sit to do this first round of mini Q&As this time. But eventually I'll hopefully be standing so you can see more of the background and get more diversity of background behind me here. That's kind of the way that the exclusive Q&A episodes for the Nobility of the But Learniverse work every month, is to have the whole background showing and I'm kind of standing and it's a little bit less formal of a style. So we have 3 questions left from round 1 of the questions here for these mini Q&A episodes, so we're going to dive straight into them. We have one from Avatar fan Uno, who asks, what's your most valuable collectible that is not Star Wars related? Value doesn't have to be quantified as money. So I'm going to say, if we were talking like monetary value, and it has to be non-Star Wars home video, my guess would probably be that it's going to have to be, if it's not a signed thing, like I've got a bunch of signed Star Wars comics, signed Star Wars books, signed Star Wars CCG cards and stuff. I got stuff signed by a lot of folks within the Star Wars writing stuff. I didn't really go for the actors and actresses and stuff like that. I was big into reading the official continuity and now the canon. So it's a lot of stuff that are like Timothy Zahn, Michael Stackpole, Kevin J. Anderson, Shannon McRandall, who did the Mara Jade modeling stuff, all that kind of stuff. Maybe something within there, but that's still Star Wars, even though it's not home video. I would say otherwise it's probably just going to be some of these like extremely hard to find now Kickstarter board games that I've picked up. So like for instance, I've got like the full original Kickstarter of Tainted Grail, right? So that's Tainted Grail, the original campaign. Then you've got the stretch goal box with 2 other campaigns. Then you get the Red Death campaign. Then you've got the monster box and then the other monster box. You've got the companion animals in minis. You've got the mounted heroes. You've got the art books, both art books. You've got all the promos that go with it, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Whereas now that tends to be stuff that's pretty hard to find and fairly sought after, though I imagine the value will drop soon because they're going to do another one for a follow-up campaign. And maybe something like, I don't know, Hand of Fate Ordeals. I've got the entire Kickstarter line for Hand of Fate Ordeals, which I love. It's one of my favorite deck builder games of all time. Never made it on the channel under Nate's favorite deck building games because of when I got my hands on it. But that is basically impossible to find complete these days with all the Kickstarter stuff because the company, in fact, the company behind the board game went out of business and the company behind the video game the board game was based on went out of business. So that kind of stuff, probably. But yeah, I mean, I don't really collect things really thinking in terms of value most of the time. If there was something that would be valuable to me, of value and sentiment to me, it would be, I've got, let's see, I would say I appear as a card in the Novus community expansion for the board game Master of Wills. My son is named checked in a card for the board game Shadows of Kilforth. My son and I appear briefly in a cameo shot in the graphic novel Hexer Dusk by Jan Duursema and John Ostrander, and I have, as I showed on a previous update, a unique sketch of me and my son sort of designed to be in that universe. I also have my binder, with all of the communications and different steps in the process of the creation of my story for Star Wars Tales, which is hiding away in my closet at this point. Like different script drafts and treatment drafts and emails back and forth between me and Jeremy Barlow, and the pages with no text or color, and then the pages with how they mark where to put the word balloons and stuff like that. I want to say that's on the channel. I think that it's under From the Archives, the Binder, or something like that. But I would say that kind of thing is a particularly meaningful thing to me for my time having had an opportunity to do that. So yeah, stuff like that. But then I would say the other thing that stands out, and I don't know if you would call this something that I collected, because I didn't collect it, but that's of great sentimental value to me. It's all in my living room hanging up. If you followed Star Wars Beyond the Films, when I retired from podcasting and left Beyond the Films and came back for like a guest shot talking about the new Jedi Order stuff very briefly, I was presented with a light-up plaque, a light-up display and lightsaber designed after Cade Skywalker's lightsaber. It says Cade's lightsaber, a legacy from his father. My son's name is Cade. And a plaque of like a thank you for all the many years of podcasting, and then another little kind of art piece with comments kind of thanks and whatnot to go with that. That was an incredibly meaningful thing for me to get that kind of response from members of the audience who I'd interacted with for many, many years after retiring from podcasting after like 18 years. So all those things kind of stand out. But to me, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said value doesn't have to be quantified as money. Because to me, the price I pay for something doesn't really indicate a whole lot to me. Or the price that I would sell something for doesn't indicate a whole lot to me. Next question comes from Jeremy Goss, who asks, for your MCU, that is Marvel Cinematic Universe, collecting, do you tend to buy just one version of each film from the USA, or also go for variants from other regions, UK, Japan, etc.? So I'm not sure I would call it collecting. First of all, I don't really collect the MCU stuff, but I am someone who wants to have the MCU stuff viewable outside of streaming. But I would say that, to me, like my focus when it comes to the MCU stuff, and this kind of answers that question, is I want a 4K version, if it exists, and now it does for all of them, for the movies at least. I want the TV series on home media, if they exist. Sometimes they do in the US, sometimes you have to get them from somewhere like the UK, and then other times they just don't exist at all. It just depends on which ones we're talking about. And I'm a big viewer, a big fan of 3D movies when it comes to viewing at home. I don't know what I'm going to do when someday my PlayStation branded 3D display finally dies. I'll have to watch only on the PlayStation VR, and hopefully the upcoming second version of PlayStation VR for PS5 will actually allow that, because I don't believe PS5 even plays 3D Blu-rays yet. I haven't tried it because it's not hooked up to that TV. So I'll get a 4K disc version and a 3D disc version, if at all humanly possible. If they exist. Like the original Iron Man doesn't have a 3D Blu-ray, for example. And typically what that means is I'll wind up with at least 2 copies of each film, because most of the time stuff that I would pick up is not packaged together. Like in the US, there was only one time where 3D and 4K was packaged together. That was Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know if it was Volume 1 or Volume 2, but one of the Guardians of the Galaxies did that. I think 2. But then I got to stop and think and be like, well, I also want to watch them as soon as I can. And except for something like Spider-Man No Way Home, I typically am okay with waiting for a digital copy to come with the physical copy for a US version, rather than buying the digital copies separately. That's fine with me, particularly since a lot of times it shows up on Disney Plus anyway. So my pattern recently is kind of redundant to the point where I'm kind of starting to rethink it a little bit, because what I'll do is, when it first gets released in the US physically, I'll grab the 4K version. And in fact, I'll go to Target, where they have the special Target version that's got the gallery book that's like that freaking thick, and I'll be like, nope. I'll just get the regular version from Target, because I need the physical space more than I need a freaking gallery book, and I don't collect them. But I'll pick up the Cinematic Universe edition, which is similar to the Ultimate Collector's Edition for the Star Wars releases. I'll pick up the 4K/Blu-ray/Blu-ray bonus disc, if there is one, /digital copy version of that Marvel film from the US. but then I want the 3D disc. So in the past, I would also order a copy from the UK. Now I also order a copy from Japan. But the copies from Japan, when they finally arrive, and usually it's about a month at least later, it's the physical 4K disc and Blu-ray disc and Blu-ray 3D disc. So I'm kind of thinking I need to change things up because of what's happened with Shang-Chi and with Black Widow and with Eternals is I've wound up with basically all the versions I want in a package from Japan that came later and a now redundant US version that I have used the copy code from, the digital copy code, but which otherwise there's not really a whole lot of point of having if I've got the one from Japan. So what I may start doing is start picking up like the Japanese physical release if they continue with the 3D discs, and for the US maybe just pick up the digital copy, because when I get the Japanese copy, the digital copy included there won't work in the US. It's for Movie Next Japan. Or something like that, rather than picking up the physical copy in the US, which also gets me the movie on digital earlier. And then I can, supplement it with the Japanese one. Spider-Man No Way Home was the difference. Of course, I didn't pick up any foreign releases of Spider-Man No Way Home because there aren't any 3D releases worldwide for that one, which sucks. So that was just the 4K / Blu-ray, etc., whatever, US copy. But I don't really collect them. I want a 4K copy of each. I want a 3D copy of each. That's the key. Beyond that, don't really care. With the shows, I've got most of the shows if they were released in the US, I have the shows on American Blu-ray typically. And if they weren't released in the US, I've got them from the UK. I haven't looked at Japan. I think there may be some seasons, maybe of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that were released in Japan that weren't released in the US to look for. But if it was released in the US or the UK, I've basically got those for the TV shows. But those don't go very far. Last few years, nothing from Disney Plus, and not really the latter stuff from ABC and so on either. So, but not really collecting, but because, so it's not to kind of re-answer the question. So it's not that I pick up foreign releases because I want to pick up foreign releases. It's I pick up foreign releases because that's the only way to get the 3D discs. Otherwise, I'd be getting them from the US. And the last one here comes from Vintage VHS Treasures, who asks, aside from Star Wars to Jedi, what are some of your favorite making-of documentaries for the Star Wars films? I would say, let's see, there's probably two that stand out to me. One is easily acquired, one less so. One is, of course, Empire of Dreams. I think that is a fantastic documentary. You can find that, of course, on the bonus disc of the 2004 releases of the original trilogy on DVD. You can also find it on Disney Plus, for example. I do think that it suffers when you look at an edited for TV version that's even shorter, like the ones on the screeners for A&E. So I definitely like the full-length version that you can actually get most easily through those 2004 DVD sets. Otherwise, I think the other one that stands out to me, it's probably my favorite one to watch, which is actually not, I don't know if it counts as behind the scenes or not. A documentary, yes. Behind the scenes, making of, that I don't know if it counts. That is Star Wars The Legacy Revealed. That's the one where for, I guess it was the 30th anniversary, I think. They gathered together a lot of like media personalities, politicians, all kinds of people. Everyone from like Newt Gingrich and Nancy Pelosi to like Stephen Colbert, to go through, and Kevin Smith, I think, to go through and talk about sort of the historical impact and the media impact and legacy, so to speak, of the Star Wars films as a whole. It's an unusual documentary in that it's not just making of type of stuff. It's about sort of its place in history and impact in that regard. I thought that was really, really cool. Unfortunately, it's never been released on physical media officially, at least not to retail, but there's a fan site screener out there, there's an Emmy screener out there, there is a press screener out there, and there is an elaborate screener out there that comes in like the big Vader head box. So there are, for what it's worth, ways to get your hands on it. The Emmy and press screeners show up quite often on eBay, the other ones less so, but you can pick it up that way. And of course, there's a lot of cool stuff that, touches on Star Wars that isn't actually a making of thing for Star Wars itself. Like, you've got, you've got the AFI 100 Years, 100 Movies series, which includes comments about Star Wars, which is pretty interesting. You've got some ILM behind-the-scenes stuff, like From Star Wars to Star Wars, which has never gotten a home media release at all. I don't even think it's a screener. just recently, was it that one? In Search of Tomorrow, I think is the name of that documentary that just crowdfunded, which apparently I just got the digital copy, link sent to me through email, but I haven't even had a chance to look at the thing yet. That I'll have physical copies coming from, that I'll show on from the Star Wars Home Video Library sometime soon. I hear great things about that, but I think it was all more hype before release than people have actually seen it. But yeah, I'd say from the Star Wars home video library, not my show, but from the Star Wars home video library of stuff you would actually call Star Wars, whether it's on home video or not. So I guess Star Wars library, but that's a whole other show that I used to do. I would say, The Legacy Revealed and Empire of Dreams are probably the two that stand out the most to me. I'm also quite a fan of what is it called? It's a Big Universe. The DVD that's like a making of the Star Wars audiobooks. I thought that was a really cool thing, but it is fairly short, unfortunately. So yeah, that kind of stuff I tend to get a kick out of. I wish there were some more recent releases of a lot of those. It'd be nice if maybe as they're releasing these sets, once again reissuing the 4K discs from 2020, or the Blu-ray discs from 2020, and so on and so on. DVDs even, discs from 2020 of the Star Wars films over and over again. Sort of, they're reissuing them now in some markets. They're sure to probably do it maybe one more time after that, possibly. This may be the last round, but as they're kind of looking at, hey, let's take some old Star Wars stuff and just reissue it, do it with the documentaries. Give us like a Star Wars documentary collection. That would be awesome. Also never going to happen, but would still be awesome. And with that, as I kind of meander through part of that last answer, at least I felt like I was kind of meandering a little bit, that does it for all the questions provided when I did that call for questions video, and people posted in the comments so that we could have those questions for round 1 of the mini Q&A's revival here. So now we are cutting this off. This is the last of these episodes with the Bad Batch shirt for now. So starting with the next of the mini Q&A episodes, that is round 2 questions. Those will be questions that are posted either under this video or the previous 2 with the Bad Batch shirt since reviving these in 2022. So if you want a question to possibly be answered in round 2, ask them in the comments under one of the round 1 videos. If you want me to just answer in the comments, that's fine, but you'll need to tell me that specifically. Otherwise, I will assume you're wanting the question to linger and wait for round 2 of the actual videos. With that, thank you for watching. May the Force be with the home video viewers and those who have questions on, other stuff. I need to come up with an ending to these, don't I? Thanks.